He hadn't eaten in 3 days. His small hands trembled as he dug through the dumpster behind the restaurant. The wind was cold, sharp against his bony fingers, but he didn't feel it anymore. Hunger had numbed everything. As he pulled out a half-eaten sandwich wrapped in greasy paper, a firm voice called out, "Hey! What are you doing there, child?" Before we continue, if you're watching our video for the first time, you're highly welcome to Elliot Stories. Please bless and support us by hitting that subscribe button. Turn on your notification bell to get notified for more edifying stories coming your way tomorrow and never to miss any. Share to friends who love stories filled with twists and morals and loved ones who loves respect and justice no matter the cost. Where are you watching from? Please tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our story travels. Also endeavor to stay till the end of this video because there's a little package for you that you don't want to miss. Thank you to our unique constant viewers, our high esteemed subscribers, lovely new viewers and our first-time subscribers for being part of our growth. A woman stood by the back door of the restaurant. Her hair was tucked beneath a black bandana, her apron stained with sauce and flour. She didn't yell, didn't threaten. Instead, she walked over slowly and knelt beside the boy. Her name was Helen. "You don't have to eat from the trash," she said gently. "Come in." That was how it all began. Every evening for the next 10 years, that little boy, whom Helen later named Kevin, showed up at Helen's table, a small, warm diner nestled in a quiet corner of downtown. Kevin would sit by the side window, where the late sun cast golden hues on his growing frame, and Helen would bring him a plate of warm food. She never asked questions, never pried into his past. She just fed him. On days when Kevin seemed especially lost, she'd offer a few words of encouragement. "Your story isn't done yet," she'd often say. "Not even close." Kevin had no family. He slept in shelters, sometimes in alleyways, other times under staircases. But every day, that meal from Helen was his only guarantee. And that kindness etched itself deep into his soul. He never missed a single day. Helen had become his compass. But time moved quickly. Kevin eventually grew into a tall, confident young man. He started disappearing for days at a time. Helen didn't worry. She saw the sparkle in his eyes every time he came back. She knew he was chasing something, a dream he hadn't yet spoken aloud. Then one day, Kevin didn't come back. A whole year passed. Then 2. Then 5. Helen never spoke about him to anyone, but she never gave away his seat either. Every evening, she set the plate for Kevin. It sat there until closing, untouched. Unknown to Helen, Kevin had gotten a scholarship through a social program she'd helped connect him with. He had taken off to another city, graduated top of his class in business and culinary management. Then he traveled abroad to learn food business structures, raised funds, pitched ideas, failed several times, and finally made it big, very big. He became the founder and CEO of a multimillion-dollar food and hospitality brand, Kevin's Table. He returned 10 years later. But not as a boy scavenging dumpsters. He returned in a tailored navy suit, stepping out of a black SUV parked right in front of Helen's table. People turned to look as he walked to the door. Some recognized him from the news. Others just saw a rich young man with purpose in his stride. Helen looked up, and for the first time in a decade, she dropped the plate she was holding. "Kevin!" Tears welled in her eyes as she reached for his face. He smiled, held her hands. "I'm back, Mom." What happened next turned the small restaurant into a historical landmark. Kevin sat her down and revealed his plan. First, he equipped Helen's small kitchen with state-of-the-art appliances, hired a team of top-tier chefs and cleaners to help her. Then, within weeks, the restaurant's exterior was transformed, maintaining its warm charm but with luxurious wood finishes, glass doors, and lush interior design. He didn't stop there. Kevin launched a full-scale restaurant chain in her name, Helen's Legacy. It wasn't just food they served. It was love, safety, and hope, just like the first meal she ever gave him. The real twist came during the grand opening of one of the locations. As Helen stood on stage, overwhelmed by the crowd cheering her name, Kevin handed her a legal document. "This is an adoption paper," he said into the mic, his voice trembling. "For years, you fed me without asking for anything. You saved me. I want to honor you as my mother, because that's what you've always been." Helen wept, holding the document to her chest as the crowd erupted. But Kevin wasn't done. With part of his fortune, he purchased a large piece of land on the outskirts of the city and built an orphanage in her name, Helen's Arms. It became home to over 200 children in its first year. The staff included therapists, social workers, educators, and caregivers who treated every child like their own. And just like Helen had once done, the orphanage fed every child without judgment. Kevin continued to fund programs for homeless youth, helped launch educational grants, and even advocated for better shelter laws. Every interview he gave, every award he received, he credited to one woman who simply gave him food without asking where he came from. Helen lived the rest of her years in joy, not just seeing the boy she once fed succeed, but watching that success become the meal that fed hundreds of others. She passed peacefully in her sleep, at 81. Her funeral was attended by governors, celebrities, and more importantly, hundreds of people whose lives were changed because of her act of kindness. Kevin stood at her grave and said, "You fed me when I had nothing. Today, the world eats because you believed in one hungry boy." Moral lesson: never underestimate the power of a simple act of kindness. One meal, one helping hand, one word of hope can set off a ripple that changes countless lives. You don't have to be rich to give, you just have to care. Society thrives not just on laws and policies, but on humanity and compassion. This story was humbly crafted and brought to you by Elliot Stories. Catch you on the next one. Elliot Stories is thankful to you.